All right. Um, well, we start our special event now. All right. Can everybody hear my voice okay?
Yes, it's clear
Okay,
and
great.
loud.
Thank you. Thank you. So greetings, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, because we are spanning from three different continents with three different time zones, USA, Germany, and Indonesia. Well, first of all, I just want to make sure that the interpretation is going well. Yes? Could everyone tell me, like anyone tell me, Farid, the interpretation is okay?
I can just a second.
Just to
Okay,
make
go
sure.
ahead.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I hope everyone is doing well. I am Ira, the host of today's event. So this special event is organized by Let's Talk. Let's talk about sex and sexualities and Institut Pelangi Perempuan. If we translate it into English, literally is Women's Rainbow Institute. So this public forum, this is a
Excuse
public
me,
forum.
just a second. We need to check the interpreter first.
Okay.
Mas Denny or yeah, Mas Denny, can you try? Just a second.
Okay, done.
Maybe because unmute. Still unmute. Okay,
Oh,
now I think
it's
better.
already.
Try.
It's okay.
Mas Denny, try.
It's great. Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, let me start from the beginning. Yeah. All right. Greetings, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, all of you. So we are spanning from three different continents with three different time zones, right? USA, Germany, and Indonesia. So like morning, afternoon, and evening. So I hope everyone is doing well. I am Ira, she, her, hers. I'm the host of today's event. And this special event is organized by Let's Talk. So Let's Talk is let's talk about sex and sexualities and Institut Pelangi Perempuan, or in English, literally it is Women's Rainbow Institute. This is Public Forum Series 81 of Let's Talk, a special book launch and discussion, Kongkow Lez. So a book written by Kamilia Manaf, and it's about Indonesian young lesbian, bisexual, queer, and transgender, right? It is published in English in 2024 because it was published in Indonesia before, and Kamilia will talk about the book later. As a host and representation of the organizer, on behalf of the organizer, Let's Talk and Institut Pelangi Perempuan, we would like to thank all of you, all of the speakers, moderator, interpreters, and all participants joining this Zoom meeting. We provide simultaneous interpretation, so there are three interpreters. Denny Irawan Yatim, Valentina Yulitadia Utari will be interpreter English to Indonesian. So this is simultaneous. So the speakers do not need to stop or pause because the interpretation will going on at the same time when you're speaking. And Farid will be interpreter Indonesian English. So all of the interpreters are volunteers of Let's Talk, and you can access, if you want to access the simultaneous interpretation, so it is at the bottom of your screen, right? It is still going on now, so you can check it, you can click. There's a feature of interpretation that can be accessed easily for you. For the Q&A session later, because there is a Q&A session right after all of the speakers share or present. Please put your question in the Q&A box, not in the chat, to make it easier for everyone to read. Without further ado, we'll kick this book launch and discussion. I'd like to introduce our moderator mediating our today's discussion, which is Ayu Regina Yolandasari, she, they. And Ayu is a gender, sexuality, and mental health specialist. Ayu, the forum is yours. Have a fruitful and wonderful discussion, everyone, and take it over to you, Ayu. Thank you.
Okay. Everyone can hear me? All good?
Yes, good.
Yes, good.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Ira, for the introductions. Good evening from Indonesia, everyone. I'm Ayu, the moderator of this book launch and discussion. Welcome again to the 81st Public Forum of Let's Talks. The book we are going to discuss is entitled Kongkow Lez, and it's written by Kamilia Manaf, who is also the first speaker at this event. And the book was firstly published, as Ira said before, at the end of last year, 2024. And as I know, it is the translations of the original Indonesian version book entitled Kami Tidak Bisu. It was published in 2011. I myself have luckily read the book, and I think you should too. Moreover, if you are curious about the challenges of being lesbian, bisexual, queer women in Indonesia, and then if you are also curious about how to organize them, then this is the right book to read. In this book, Kamilia shares not only her experience in organizing the Kongkow or hangouts for LGBTQ individuals, but also the discussions that happened in their meetings, which cover so many topics, from coming out, reproductive health, religious views, and so on. And in this event, we will discuss more about the book and the issues related to LGBTQ community. And we have 4 excellent speakers. The first one is Kamilia Manaf, who is pronounced she, her. And then Yen-Jung Tseng, who's pronounced they, them. And then Christine Holike, who's pronounced she, her. And then Gupta Said, who's pronounced she, her. Before we start the presentations and discussions, I just want to inform you, actually Ira already informed you earlier, that we have English, Indonesians, and Indonesian English simultaneous translations. So please go to the translations menu. There's a button with the globe picture there, and then choose which language you prefer to listen. Regarding Q&A, we will have the sessions after all the presentations, and then participants actually welcome to put your questions before the Q&A in the Q&A feature box, not in the chat box, okay? Not on the chat box, but in the Q&A features. You can find it in the menu bar in your screen. And then you might click the QA menu button and then just write down your questions there. Okay, without further ado, let's move on to the presentations. I hope everything is clear. For the first presentations, I would like to invite Kamilia Manaf, who goes with she, her. Kamilia, or some people used to call her Kamel, is the author of Kongkow Lez and the director of Institut Pelangi Perempuan. In her presentations, we might listen to her share about why she wrote this book, the resources, the process of writing, and then the challenges and difficulties writing this book, maybe her hopes and expectations by writing this book, and then her reflections on lesbian movement, especially in Indonesia. And another important information is how to access the books, both in Indonesian and the English versions. Okay, so please, Kamilia, the time and space is yours.
And it's 20 minutes, yeah.
Yes, and it's 20 minutes.
Thank you very much, moderator. First of all, thank you for having me for this event to launch my book that I wrote, Kongkow Lez, and in Bahasa Indonesia called Kami Tidak Bisu, or We Are Not Silent. First of all, this book is published called in 2011 in Bahasa Indonesia, which title is Kami Tidak Bisu, We Are Not Silent. And the purpose of this book is to giving voice to the experience of organizing lesbian, bisexual, queer women, and transgender in Indonesia, and also how I related to my experience of in LGBTQ activism, and also my activism in national and international level. And I have questions about why write this book. Well, it begins when I had a chance to do my activism at international context. And I visited some Western countries, and I found that several books, academic papers, publication about young lesbian, bisexual, queer, transgender. And it's also not about young, but also LGBT in general. And it's written by Western academic in English. And I was surprised because in Indonesia, it's so rare to find out the publication in Bahasa Indonesia. And I wonder why some the Western researchers, they don't write it in Bahasa Indonesia and they don't publish it in Indonesia. And if it is in English, then it will be difficult for the individual of the community, especially LGBT, to access it and who cannot have expertise in English. And this should be a solution. For me, the studies which involve LGBT has purpose for empowerment, and it should be accessible for the community of LGBT in Indonesia. It should be important attention for the code of for the ethical standard of the academic research, where the voice of the research should be the center of the discourses. And LGBT in Indonesia should get the benefit from the research, especially, and this should not be only be the object of the research. So for me, the research should be giving contributions for the empowerment and the development of the community. I realize there are several academics and researchers from Western countries who give positive impact for the advancement of LGBT movement in Indonesia. So these researchers, they don't exploit the community, and they're even more helping to giving voice for their aspirations, sharing knowledge, and also bringing the issue which not visible in Indonesia. This is also my concern. For the research, it should be when they do it with the marginalized groups, it should be based on ethics and giving benefit to the community. So it should be disseminated and accessible by the community. And also, well, I know some audience are students, college students from Mr. Ikram. I just want to inform you that lots of college students came to our organization and doing research for their dissertation or thesis, but they don't ever come back or contact us back after they finish the research. And it should be accessible, and the result of the research should be disseminated to the community for learning process. From this experience, I feel disappointed within the researchers, academics, who doesn't have responsibility. And the researchers and the academics should be sensitive to the community of LGBT by respecting the ethics and the privacy of the community. And I do believe activists and academics can cooperate together to support each other for a better social movement, as long as in the right path. And in the other side, I also suggest the LGBT women in Indonesia to write their own sexuality stories with their own perspective, because most of the LGBT issues is mostly seen as the Western discourse or import discourse, rather than issues of the Eastern discourse. By that, it can change the public view that sexuality is not from Western countries. Sexuality is the human experience, and it becomes, and it's happened since long time ago in ancient times. And because of the global hierarchy, with giving privilege to and freedom to the Western to discuss and document sexuality, so it's time for the global South, including Asia and Africa, has same experience. And most of the book that become reference in academia and activism of sexuality, written by the white people. Where is the sexuality is voice from the public society in Global South. It reflects me that the feminism principle is personal, is political. Our experience should be documented and understood by our own perspective. Feminism is not always depend on the Western perspective, but it has to be our own experience in our local unique context. And the second about what resources. For this book, I choose not to get reference from the sexuality theories from the Western countries. I think sharing experience from my friends, the participants of Kongkow Lez, and the experience of the activism journey in Indonesia, in other countries. For more than 10 years, I organized LGBT communities in Indonesia. It should be better done. I don't have any background about sexuality academics, so I don't give any theories about sexuality theories. And I think the personal experience is more valuable. It doesn't mean that I'm anti-theory, but in IPP, my organization work, we combine both perspectives, personal perspective and also theory perspective for a better result. And how about the process of writing? The process of writing this book is done by doing record of the discussion process of Kongkow Lez, with many topics like coming out, reproductive health and rights for LGBT and religious perspective, LGBT and feminism, LGBT and human rights, and other topics. And in fact, of many experts from activists, writers, academics, and other experts in their own field. And then the result of discussion of Kongkow Lez is written, and I add my own experience, my journey in my activism in LGBTIQ movement in national and international context. So that I want to see the comparison between the development of LGBTIQ rights in Indonesia and other countries. And how about the challenge and difficulties? At the beginning, we know each other from a chat room on internet, and especially the chat room has the special room for LGBT community, and this chat room is the place where hang out on internet for individual LGBT individual from all over Indonesia to interact and communicate to each other. Some of them visit this chat room just to look for friends, and others, we can say, maybe hoping for a romantic relationship. In this chat room, the chat or the discussion is running in fluid way. And after that, usually they change their phone number. They give their phone number to each other. If they feel comfortable to talk on the phone, usually these individuals will make plans to meet face to face. In this interaction, we can see how important is the trust. And this trust can assure us to go a date for people that we don't know before. And it can be developed with a friendship, best friend, or even a romantic relationship. And our community was started by a small group, consists for about 5 or 6 people. And this community is developed until about 15 people. And we meet in the cafe in Jakarta. Each of us was trying to invite new friends that we met online. And the invitation for hangout or kongko or nongkrong, we say it in Bahasa, we send it from the text message. In that time, it was around 2006, 2007. In that times, we don't have WhatsApp or chat, Facebook Messenger, something like that. So we still use short message service. And usually we send it when it's close to the weekend. And we realize this is the specialty of our generation, where telephone and internet connection is accessible, which make us possible to reach the community even in a rural area. internet is a very magical for us, helping us to connect to each other in a safe and comfortable space. And it's still difficult for us to be visible and interact in open space, in physical space, in public space, because we don't feel comfortable and safe because of homophobia and discrimination and the risk of getting any abuse, verbal or violence from homophobic people. And around 2007, 2006, we already know a social media platform such as Friendster, Facebook, and then Twitter. And it makes us easier to connect to each other online. And I can see how the experience of the community in the past, before our generation, is they writing letters to each other in using paper and pen. And it needs daily, several days to get to send it to post address. And it is our privilege to have a social media platform which make us more engaged, and it helps us to develop our community. And the group of our Kongkow or Nongkrong or hangout is inclusive. We have friends from in several levels in society, such as students, office staff, civil servants, NGO staff, housewives, and even high school students. Well, they have short hair, of course, like me, and with tomboy style, and there's also a feminine style. We have women with hijab and even a former nun. And in this diverse ethnicity, we also have people from this is islands in Indonesia, Sumatra, Java, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, and we have Chinese, race, and Arabic. And then we have different faith and belief, like Muslim, Christian, Catholic, and Buddha. And this diversity of identity and background is just, I think this is the rich culture of our community. And then after we hang out in a cafe, and then what? That's question that when we start this community. And then we have another passion. We want a positive action which can advance and giving benefit to the community that is still new. And then during our nongkrong session or hangout, which usually held in a cafe, it has, and hang out in a cafe, it means we need money to buy food, to buy drink, and maybe it's not expensive for young executive or middle upper class society, but it will be expensive for students and people who has insufficient income. Some of us are workers who has low income, who work in restaurants or factories, and who have struggled to fulfill their daily needs in Jakarta, where the cost of living in Jakarta is high. So this problem is giving a point of view that class differentiation in this LGBT community, it challenges us to find a good place, appropriate place, which is accessible by everybody. But not long after that, we come up with an idea to have a badminton club. And we have a badminton club every Saturday evening. And we ran a badminton court in South Jakarta. And then we also collect membership fee, which is around 10,000 rupiah, less than $1 per week. And it includes the cost of the rent of the car, shuttlecock, and other equipment. This badminton club that we start around 2006 is success, giving a fluid space where lots of young LGBT can get involved and spend time together. After playing badminton, the club is giving a support group for the members. During the break time, we hang out, sharing stories, and even giving more attachment to the community members. Yeah. And then after that, we initiate Kongkow Lez, a movie screening and group discussion for young LGBTQ in Indonesia around January 2007. The first event is success, and the next event is also involving many audience. Approximately around 25 or 50 women, young LGBT women, 20 or 30 years old in every meeting. And this space, it becomes a safe space where we can share our experience.
Excuse me, Kamilia, you still have 3 minutes left, okay?
Okay. The challenge is not easy for us to make them confident to come to the event because of the homophobia and also the afraid of their will be exposed to public space. So it is time for us to make them feel confident to come to the event and hope and expectation to write this book. To write this book is for the young LGBT community in Indonesia in 2011 in Bahasa Indonesia, because it's hard to find a book about LGBTQ in Bahasa Indonesia. And the purpose of this book is for mental support, psychological, physiological, and mental support for LGBTQ individuals, so they can accept that what they are, have confidence, and if they have awareness built, they realize of their rights, so they can participate in the advancement of LGBTIQ rights in Indonesia. And the English book is purposes for public campaign about young LGBT in Indonesia in international world to gather solidarity and support for LGBTIQ feminism and international human rights, to do advocacy for the advancement of LGBTIQ movement in Indonesia, which experience discrimination and violence, which has been increasing recently. So what time I should say her?
You still have
Moderate.
2 minutes left.
Okay. Reflection for lesbian movement. I think in Indonesia and also global context, we can see that the gay man movement are more visible rather than lesbian or bisexual woman movement. So it's also happened in Indonesia. In most LGBTIQ movement, less in the LGBTQ women visible in the event. I think this is because of the patriarchy. We're giving more access to men to express their sexuality. And lesbian, LGBT women, they are still women. They are in this patriarchal culture. They educate that sexuality is not their life or their expression. So I think it's also the part of the difficulties in organizing LGBT women because of they are invisible. And I also ask them, why you some LGBT individuals, they also share their feelings that and experience that they don't feel comfortable even though they're gathered with gay men, even though we have same-sex relationship communities. And then also and it becomes the cause why I create this space specifically for LGBT women. So to make them feel comfortable and safe, so they can come to our event, gather, discuss, and share their experience. And it's also, yeah. And if you want to access the book, just Google on internet, In Bahasa Indonesia, kami tidak bisu. For English, Kongkow Lez 2025. You can find the book online. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Kamilia, for the presentations and the important informations about how to access the book. Apparently, it's available online, so it's good for all of you here. If you want to access the book, it's really easy to access. So again, thank you, Kamilia. I actually highlight some of your presentations. I love the idea that we need to decolonizing the knowledge, but regarding sexuality based on our own experience. I think that's also important, and this is become the base why you make this book. And then I also love that the fact that the hangout, the Kongkow, it's become the starting point not only for friendship or maybe intimate relationship, but also building community events and even the movement for LBQ. And then you also pointed out about the internet that is giving space to feel safe for LBQ individuals to be themselves and to connect to each other, which is really good. I think it's very relevant to today's situations. And also about the challenges, you said also the challenges is to make them confidence and want to come and feeling safe in the space. So you make this, you try to make this as a safe space for the LBQ community to speak about themselves, about their sexualities, which is, I really appreciate it. So, okay, now we are going to move on to the next presentations, the second presentations. We will have Yen-Jung Tseng, who goes with pronoun they, them. They are a Ph.D. candidate in Sociology, University at Albany, State University of New York, and co-founder of Taiwan LGBT Family Rights Advocacy. From them, we will listen the key points of the book, Kongkow Lez, and the importance of the book, and then their thoughts on Indonesian lesbian experiences based on the book, their reflections on the lesbian movement based on the LGBTIQ movement in Taiwan, and their thought on strengthening the lesbian LGBTIQ movement, especially in Indonesia and Asia, and then the world. So let's welcome them. Yen-Jung, over to you.
Hi, hi everyone. Well, thank you for inviting me to this interesting and very important book launch today. And it's my pleasure to share my reflections and thoughts after reading the book. So I think the book itself is a product of a social movement, of course, and it's also one of the means to do the social movement as well. And it's not only in Indonesia, but also at the international level. And I believe this part has been articulated fully in Kamilia's presentations earlier. So I want to share some of my reflections and interesting points after I read the book. So first of all, I was so amazed by how comprehensive the book is. So it covers almost every aspect. So it covers from the micro level, from the personal identity, gender expressions and gender identities. And also it talks about how the Indonesia culture see different gender expressions. So this part I think is very treasure for people, for a person like me from outside of the country and outside of the culture. And it talks also about the coming out experiences, and it also talks about the intimate relationships and how to build healthy, equal, and respectful interactions in an intimate relationship. So I think this part, even heterosexual couples, they should read the book too. So it's very informative and very interesting and very important. And and also it talks about the body, and I think it's a very important part because not many books, just like Camilla's addressed in the book. So it's not very books talks directly about the women's sex and women's bodies directly, and especially for LGBTQ women. And it also talks about the reproductive health into hot topic, safe sex. So it does not stop here only. It also talks about the structural problems. It's a macro level in the reflections. It talks about the social structures regarding religious cultures and the discussions within the feminist groups. And all the talks are very relevant and very important. And yeah, and I think at the end, in the latter part of the book, it talks about how it create a Jakarta principle comic, and this part is amazing because it talks about how you do the further movement toward the youth. And the comic, I want to read it too. So that's quite important. So it covers almost every part, and no matter which part that you are in, you can easily find the sections that related to you. And also, I also want to talk about how I admire the format of the book. And I already introduced the book to my friends already in Taiwan. So I have to say about the format of the book, because through a social movement lens, I feel like it's just like the author addressed in the book. It is a book that targets the public audience. So since the book covers almost every aspects related to LGBTQ people, it is not a densely heavy book to read. In contrast, most of the time, the book shows the topic by inviting readers to the scenes when they discuss the topic. For example, when discussing the coming out experiences, the book shows diverse conditions that people encountered. So as a reader, I think many readers with different conditions within different social contexts, they can see their positions and choose their ways. And the book opens up different options to the readers. So I think it offers very practical and realistic ways regarding the come out issues. So, and also to another issues, other important issues, the format, the outlet of the book shows these characteristics, and I think it's very important as regarding the social movement. And also, I think it's a very good way to deliver other difficult topics regarding the conflicts within the feminist movement or religious issues and the human rights issues as well. Since the content opens up by recording a discussion at an event, people raising a question in the event might open up the question for the readers as well. Along with the discussion, when other people in the book at the event respond to the question, the reader's question may be answered as well. Through the dialogue in the book, I believe the reader will find the answers for themselves. And I would talk about why I think it is very important that the book adopt a format like this at the end. And also, I really like the author's notes for her personal journey, because it introduced some international experiences, but not only the international experiences, but also her personal journey when she reflects a lot of different topics. And you can see how you can see a real journey that a person, a lesbian, can encounter, and how she deal with all these different topics. And I think that expose this journey is very important when you face to the public, not only for the public, they can understand the journey that LGBTQ people could face, but also for the people who have still have questions with this, or if they are struggling in this, then they can find themselves, or they can find some ways here. So I think that this personal journey is a quite important part as well, and also very interesting and very supportive. So the journey, I read the book. I think it's a pleasure. So in Taiwan, I have to say, we have a lot of similarities in a lot of aspects. So reading a book for me is a learning process, and also a healing process too. So it reminds me of the old days when we met in coffee shops and the basketball fields too. We also watched movies and discussed the different topics after the film as well. And I learned a lot and met comrades throughout all these activities. It was a memorable time for me and made me who I am now. I really admire that Kongkow considers including different classics and financial backgrounds in organizing the event. I believe that it means a lot for the whole movement, because it's considered about the different classes. And I want to share some different parts from Taiwan's situation. So what surprised me is that so the relationship between lesbian and gay movement is quite different. Our past is quite different from the situation in Indonesia. And I think it's because of the historical path. We have some different historical path. So because Taiwan has a tricky international status in the world. So actually, in the ancient time, we didn't receive a significant amount of international financial aids for AIDS or HIV from abroad. So I don't think there is a huge different problems between the financial or resources, different distribution of resources. In contrast, our gender and sexuality movement were mostly initiated from academia, because from the late 20th century, a bunch of feminist female scholars who studied abroad returned back to Taiwan with progressive feminist perspectives. And many of them devoted themselves to the gender and sexuality movement. So feminist theory, nursing the gay and lesbian movement all together. And well, it does not say that there is no issue with the distribution between gay men and lesbian women, but it is not a big issue to distinguish the two groups of people. So I think this is the differences from the path or the strategies how to combine or how to collaborate with each other. And the other one is that so I think the conditions regarding religions and laws are quite different from those in from Taiwan and Indonesia. So from the book, I realized that Indonesia faces more challenges regarding religious foundationalists. And Kamilia talks about the experiences of the Elga Asia meeting in Surabaya in 2010 in the book. And that reminds me that I heard my friend Jennifer talks about it. So that was scary, and I believe it is hard to imagine if I have never been there at that situation. So I do think it is a challenge. However, I also read about the experiences of Kamilia's family. So as a family from Islam, her family shows strong support and is proud of her. So this case shows the diversity within a religion. And so it's a good thing. And we have to trust that we can change the discourse from a lot of different aspects regarding this. And it is touched to see that you invite the Kongkow, invite leaders from both Islam and Christianity to share progressive perspectives regarding sexuality. It is very important and powerful to the society and also to people. I remember that we also have strong allies from Buddhism and Christianity. They and also they offer society essential views from different perspectives from the majority of the religions. So I think it is also important to remember and remind our society that our country has diverse beliefs and faiths. So it is not fair and not reasonable to adopt religious regulations, no matter which religion it is, to put on citizens' daily life. So I think that this one is quite important, and is very crucial, especially when you promote or advocate for issues related to sexuality. We have to broaden the spectrum of religions and show the society how diverse, even within one religions. And the other thing that I want to talk is about the patriarchal laws. So,
Yen-Jung, excuse me, you
yeah.
still have 3 minutes left, okay?
Okay, yeah, I will be quick. So
Thank you.
there are several laws mentioned in the book. For example, a female needs a male to apply for a passport for her, or the discriminative laws regarding non-heterosexual couples' age. So I feel that there is a need to adjust these laws into more just and equal ones to allow women to live with fewer limits to depending on men. And all these aspects need us to fight for, because when I read the book, I realized that if women want to fight, they need more freedom in their daily lives. So to achieve that, we have to make allies. We have to make friends. We have to ask people to become comrades, to fight for different rights in every aspect. We need allies from many different areas and fields, like feminist groups and human rights groups, to fix the unjust societal social issues and make society more livable for women. Only when society has relatively equal and just the performances in every aspect will there be more chances that people support sexuality issue. So it is not very likely. So why I say that is because it is not very likely that a country has very opposite performances regarding among gender, sexuality, human rights, and democratic issues. So, I mean, the society, when they improve in different aspects, they will support other aspects to improve as well. So I want to echo the discussion about same-sex marriage in the later part of the book. So in the later part of the book, someone asks that, what if same-sex marriage has been legalized, but no one dares to use it? And this is a real issue. So it is very crucial to make the whole society ready by fighting in every different aspects of our daily life. And we have to prepare our society for a more challenging goal. It doesn't mean that we don't pursue same-sex marriage at all, or we don't pursue some challenge goals at all. But it means that we have to establish a solid foundation for promoting a more progressive sexual agenda. And we can also afford, so we can, because of this solid foundation, so we can also afford the cost of the coming backlash, if there is any. So last but not least, I want to go back to the style of the book. I really appreciate the communicative style of the book. It is not a book for preaching certain ideas. Instead, it demonstrates people's diverse experiences and contexts the flows of their conversations and communications and their reflections afterward. So, in this world, everyone wants to be seen and to be understood. Everyone has their own context and history, no matter the personal history or cultural history. And their reasons, everyone has their reasons and their limits. So it is important to see the diversity. And I think the book is a very good example that offers opportunities for different experiences. Through the flow of the conversation, people are going to rethink and reflect at some point. I feel like it is what advocates or social movements like. We need to communicate with a lot of different people in society, and many of them may not agree with you at all. However, it is just the process of democracy. It is a process of understanding people, negotiating with people, and persuading people.
Lovely.
This process is long and difficult, and society is not going to change immediately. So, however, we have to be patient and faithful, just like Kamilia, who holds the events and activities again and again and advocates LGBTQ women's rights again and again. So I really, I will finish very short, and
Okay.
I really like the words she wrote in the book, and I want to share them with you to end my section. So it's think global, act local. So that keep fighting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Yen-Jung. I can see how you appreciate the book and really recommend the book to be read by people, by the public. And I am so agree with you. And then I also highlight some of your presentations regarding the comprehensiveness of the book. It is not only covers the micro level about body, identity, and relationships of the LGBTQ individuals, but also in the macro level, it also covers about how society and culture see the LGBTQ identities. And then you also say that this is the book that is really relevant for everyone, also for foreigners, to know the situations in Indonesia and how the diversity also play along with the identity. And then also it's practical and realistic, as you said also. And you also appreciate that the book covers the personal experience of the author, and it shows the public of what LGBTQ used to deal with. And it can be a learning process to read the book. It can be a healing process for some of us who experience maybe the similar situations. And you also talks about the difference between the movement in Taiwan and Indonesia, the initiative of the feminist movement and gender and sexuality movement in Taiwan comes from the academics. And then also, you also underline the very important things, which is the religion. You say that religion can be challenges, and it is not fair if we regulate someone's body, someone's life, a community based on one religion, because we are also diverse, and I think that is very important. And also, I want to highlight the collaborations in the movement. You also highlight that in the end of the presentations that we cannot do the movement alone as an LGBTQ or LGBTQ plus movement, but we need also collaborate with other movements, feminist movement, women's movement, democratic movements, and people or allies and networks who can also strengthen the movement for equality. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Yen-Jung. Yen-Jung, sorry. Okay, so we are going Yen-Jung. Okay, thank you. So we are going to the next speaker, but I just want to
hold on a
remind, yeah.
second. Hold on a second. So there's a participant is writing about the interpretation for Indonesia is audible. I don't think so. I think you can click the interpretation button like at the bottom of your screen. So it's accessible and it's working because Mas Denny now is like interpreting from English to Indonesia. So you can check it. It's like the interpretation logo or picture with the website or globe. I think it's working because I kept trying it.
Okay,
Hold
thank
on, it's
you.
not working.
Hoping,
Yeah,
okay, sorry.
I think it's Mas Denny's audio. A little bit in
Oh, okay.
distraction.
Mas Denny, can you try?
The audio.
Oh, the audio. Yeah, the audio is not. It's not really working, Mas Denny. We cannot really. Oh,
It's
okay,
clear
that's
now.
good now. Thank you for the participant who let us
Yeah,
know.
it's
Thank
cool.
you. Yes, now it's great. Okay, we can
Okay,
continue. Sorry about
okay.
that. Okay, that's great. It's a technical, like error.
I know it happens anyway.
Yes.
So thank you, Mbak Ira. Thank you, Mas Farid, Mas Denny, for doing this and tries your best to facilitate the participants. So we are going to continue to the next speakers, but I want to remind all the participants to post questions on Q&A box. You can find it on your screen. There's Q&A box, and then just click it and post your questions. And I also want to inform you that there is a certificate available for participants who need it. The committee will provide it for you. So the third speaker is Christine Holike, who pronounce she, her. Christine is an executive director of Watch Indonesia, an organization based in Berlin, Germany. And from her, we might listen what she got from Kamilia's book and the importance of the book. Her thoughts on the Indonesian lesbian experiences based on the book, her reflections on the lesbian movement based on LGBTIQ movement in the Germany, Europe, and the West, and then her thought on strengthening the lesbian LGBTIQ movement in the world, in Asia, in Indonesia. So, Christine, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ayu, and thank you very much for this invitation and for organizing this event, which is very special. And of course, Kamilia, for writing this book and sharing it in the English language for everybody to be able, or for a larger audience to be able to access this experience. I have prepared a little presentation which I would like to share with you. It might make it easier. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. I think I'm very happy to be able to join this space for sharing, especially in the face of the challenges that are currently underway to the lesbian, bisexual, queer, and transsexual movement, and generally for many marginalized perspectives in the USA. That would be very interesting. Maybe we can talk about it later as well. But also in Europe, massive backlashes are coming our way. So I'm very, very happy to be able to share some perspectives here. I've picked out a few points. And first, Kamilia and I, we have known each other for a long time, and I spent some time at Institut Pelangi Perempuan, and I can't remember the year actually, but I want to share my impressions from that time. I thought it was a very, very special place with a vibrant atmosphere and like a melting point, like what you describe in the book, you know, like a whole range of like diverse women coming together. And it was a pioneer space, a home for repressed and belittled feelings, desires, and identities or self-identifications, and a place for sharing and learning of each other's experience. Very, very special place and the one off at the time. And I think one of the largest contributions was the overcoming, you know, it provided a space to overcome the isolation of lesbian women. Now I want to go forward and it doesn't. I'm sorry. Oh, oh yeah. The book, I just want to share my personal takeaway. It is a document of the times, of our times, that brings home to me especially what connects LBQT across borders. Our context might be different. The weight of a specific issue at the time, at different times, might vary, but all the issues raised in the books are relevant beyond Indonesia. That's my greatest takeaway. Health and sexuality, sexual and reproductive health, gender identity and roles, religion and the politics of religion are very important themes that affect us all at varying times and with a varying impact. So, and it got me thinking a lot about my own political history in this field. And I think the central shared experience that I found is that what we share is the non-acceptance by the majority of the society. There is always this double consciousness, like your private life or your desires for love and belonging and for connecting with each other, making love, having love affairs and being friend and building friendships, and at the same time dealing with the outside world. That's what we share, a marginalized perspective or people. Yeah, I don't like that term so much, but I use it for now. Share, navigating between the outside, what people say about you and how you feel inside, and also the kind of double burden that you fight for your own space, and at the same time you have the job to change the discourse and to change society. That was what my Yen-Jung also referred to earlier. And another one is that equal rights and legal protection are not a given. The book on the whole, I think it is a really extremely important contribution to the visibility of LGBTQ women in Indonesia. And like the space, I mean, the book reflects the space and what happened, how the space of IPP came together and how a community came together. So it aids overcoming the separatedness and isolation. And documents, and as such also fosters a community or a sense of community. And that is an essential precondition to enter any struggle for rights and for changing a discourse, to have a communal voice. And it was for me personally, and I expect it would be for many people who read the book, it is an inspiration and an invitation for an internal reflection about your own history, where you stand, what are your ambitions, what are you looking for, what do you want to reach? And it also makes clear that more research is needed. Like you say in the book, and other speakers have referred to it, there's this dominance of Western scholarly perspective, and a lot of history might have been lost or might need to be uncovered or can be uncovered. I'm pretty convinced that the Indonesian feminist movement before 1965, that there is a treasure box of information about lesbian life pre-1965 in Indonesia. I mean, Indonesia, it was the largest or one of the largest feminist movements with an immense global impact, and we don't just know very, very little about it in the West, particularly, and we also don't know yet how, for example, the lesbian struggle or rights for lesbian, queer, bisexual rights kind of connected to that movement. I'm pretty sure it did, but we don't know very little about it. So yes, okay, that's one point. And it's also the book itself, I find, is a reservoir for collective memory, and that is a very important point. Memory matters in many ways. And I will go into this a little bit, why I think that. Like by writing or narrating a community history or history of a struggle, which is not finished, it goes on, we realize we are not alone in history and we are connected over time. And themes and the people who are in this struggle for the rights, to have rights, that's what it's about. We fight to have rights. That may change over time, but not the essence. Another takeaway for me from the book is, and also from my own experience, is that we need a very long breath, but at the same time, love is a survivor and resistance is possible in adverse times or situations. For example, in Germany, it took more than 100 years, and the disruptions of a fascist regime between 1933 and 1945 until a broader acceptance of LGBTQ and more or less satisfactory legal provisions were reached, like that are in place now, whereby I have to say there's a difference between legal provisions and the acceptance in society, and the current political development threatens these achievements extremely. So, and at the same time, of course, full equality hasn't been reached, particularly regarding transsexual and intersexual rights, and also the rights regarding family law. But memory matters in the sense that remembering and knowing is vital to draw strength and secure collective knowledge. That's because that's our nest, that's our basis, which we can always fall back onto. For me personally, I want to share something what gave me, what I just recently come across and what gives me the strength about love being a survivor. There is some queer historical research collective, and they found out, or there's some research going on, and for example, they found this story of Nelly and Nadine, who met in a concentration camp in Germany in 1944, and they fell in love in this really horrible circumstances where torture and death and hunger and starvation was like on the daily basis. But they found love in this place, and knowing about this gives some hope, and it kind of creates a feeling of yes, there might be that might be very bad and adverse conditions coming, but love survives this. So it might be a little bit cheesy, but for me it's a hope, a glimmer of hope or something. Yeah. And also, what another personal impression why memory matters, why these stories that are told in the book, and also um, the issues that are reflected, is that we can witness that resistance is always possible in like even the smallest margin we have to move in. Just a short example, also from this research collective, by accident, they found out about trans person, Gerd Kubbe, born as a woman, assigned as the gender or the gender of a woman, and he fought for the right of self-determination even during the Nazi regime, and he was actually successful. Now the traces were lost. You know, before the Nazi regime, there was some equality. There were kind of permits to be. You could have a permit to appear or live like a man, or in the different, or in another gender, or the gender that you don't identify with, or that you identify with. And the Nazis revoked him the right, but actually the law was still in place. So Ernst Kube fought for this right to dress as a man and to work in a job, male job kind of thing, and he won. So that is, yeah, for me also an inspiration, and stories like this can be an inspiration for later generations and for the now as well. I also want to share something about my personal history, maybe, because reading the book, it got my own memory going about my experience, my individual experience in political history. And I think also reflecting and remembering, just like the book does, how we relate to each other in our communities and within a certain movement is also very important, because it's our basis, as I said before earlier. So I I see a lot of parallels about love, sex, and tears, when we have a community and we also a political struggle, but we're still connected as individuals, and we want romantic relationships, but it can also cause a lot of heartbreak, like jealousy. It's inspiring, but it can also cause heartbreak and conflict, and it's important to keep this in mind. And we also have political rifts. My own personal history, I come from a very niche activist very activist niche, anti-capital, lesbian, separatist, feminist, which meant that we didn't cooperate with men because generally, and even with heterosexual women, because we thought they were betraying the feminist movement and supporting patriarchy by having relationships with men. So we blocked that completely. And on the other side, you have the broad spectrum of the human rights approach, or on the other end of the spectrum is the human rights approach. It's so, I see, like Kamilia has described in the book, you have a large diversity, not only of individual lifestyles, class, and backgrounds, but also maybe of political ideas. Of course, I've reflected on sort of where I come from politically, and of course, what happened at the time, bisexuality was totally sidelined and negated, and also the trans experience. Today, maybe this shows in what we know as the TERF movement, the trans exclusionary radical feminists that are quite vocal, also in Germany and in Europe, and I think in the US as well. But for me, it was very good to reflect on this, and also to realize sometimes we have to emancipate ourselves from our own struggles and our own ambitions. They can change over time. For example, that's a private information. It took me like 20 years to come out as bisexual because it was not accepted in my political spectrum. So the summary of it, shared struggle and ambitions does not mean we are all the same. And in the end, I think discrimination and the experience of repression, these experiences are no training camp to become a good person. These are not the situations that teach us to become solidaric, loving, and kind. And we deal with a lot of internalized repression And also we miss role models for healthy relationships and also family. The family models currently, they are based on, even if we might have good laws or progressive laws, but they're based on the two-gender ideology, mother, father, child. And so we have to reinvent ourselves in many senses. Yes. To sum it up, really, or I have a
You have 3 minutes left.
okay, I can do it. So the personal
Thank
sort of
you.
view, thank you, in the final personal view is like that mentioned before, that democratic conditions are precondition for collective experience and also for organizing as a political collective. And while I see that it's important to identify or to kind of assume a kind of collective identity, and I think it comes out in the book as well because of the diversity of all the women like that come together at IPP or Kongkow Lez. All equal rights struggles are connected, and not only in one place, but I would say across the globe. Um, at the same time, fun and playing and reflecting our own, how we deal with each other is important. So I'll share some pictures of my active time in the 90s. For example, the reflection we kind of posed in traditional, we made parties where we kind of behaved in like exaggerated traditional manners, like you can see on this picture on the right. Might be quite funny for you to see. So just briefly to sum up, sorry, I might be a bit longer. How can we handle the backlash and oppression? I think for me, like drawing from the book and from my own experience and and other people's experience, practical solidarity, to be there for each other is essential, and also to help each other to build our capacity and resilience of ways of how we can safeguard ourselves, our safety, our security, but also our knowledge and skill in struggling for for the rights, care for well-being, and definitely transnational solidarity based on equal footing. And never to submit to silence, like this book does. It doesn't submit to silence, which the original title, Kamitida Bisu, very well illustrates. And with this, I want to hand over a quote from Audre Lorde, an US American Black lesbian feminist who was active in the 1980s. And it reads, "Your silence will not protect you, but for every real word spoken, for every attempt I had ever made to speak, those truths for which I am still seeking, I had made contact with other women, while we examined the words to fit a world in which we all believed, bridging our difference." Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristen. I really love the quotations you took and you picked for these presentations. And I think it's really sum up the messages you try to deliver through your presentations. I also, yes, Kak Irmia, care for well-being is indeed important. Thank you. I also highlight some of your presentations. You in the beginning of your presentations, you are not only give your thoughts about the book, but also thoughts about the community, because you have experience being in the community of Institut Pelangi Perempuan. So you say that it's a really safe and welcoming space, and it helps overcoming isolations within the community. And I think that's a very important point, how solidarity, how giving safe space is actually can be how can I say, a space for healing for people who involve in the space. And then you also said about the book, it's relevant across the borders, although the context might be different, but some of the very common issues we can learn from each other across the borders. And then you also mentioned about shared experience and the importance of the book related to the visibility of LGBTQ community in Indonesia. And I think that is so true, because we really need how can I say, we really need advocate for the visibility still in Indonesia, I may say, even now. And also you also shared about the fascist regime in Germany that also become obstacles for the acceptance of LGBT community there. And it's related to the last slide of your presentations, that you say that democratic actually become the preconditions. And I think in Indonesia, that's why in Indonesia it's quite different from the Germany, because we don't have that kind of history. And you pointed that out. And then the memory matters. I really love that part. You talks about how love becomes hope, even in a very hopeless situations there in, for example, in concentration camp. And also you talks about the resistance, about the fight, about how Ernst and Coop want the fight for the right of self-determinations, and it becomes the inspirations of resistance. Like Yen-Jung, apparently this book also gives kind of nostalgic experience for you too, and perhaps for anybody who read this book as well. And then it helps also to reflect the today's situations related to political situations, the existence of turf, unfortunately, and then the dynamic of struggles and ambitions that might be different from the past and now, and then repressions, and then the family model. I think it's very important to reflect on that. And then you also gave us about the handling backlash and oppressions. And I really agree that practical solidarity, transnational solidarity is very important. It's necessary, and no submit to silence. I know it's not always easy, but it is something that we need to try to advocate. That's why solidarity it's important. Collective work is very important. I think that's what I can sum up from your presentation, Christine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then and then we are going to the last but not least, of course, we will have our fourth speaker, Gupta Said, whose pronouns is she, her. As written in her bio, Gupta is Individu Merdeka, or in English means independent individual. She will speak in Indonesian, so if you prefer to listen to her in English, please go to the translation menu and hit the English channel button. Okay, so you can hear the translations of her presentations or her speech. And then from Gupta, we might listen to her thoughts on the book Kongkow Lez and why the book about the experiences of lesbian in Indonesia is important, and then how to develop the study and research on the issues of lesbians in Indonesia and who needs to get involved in study. And then the challenges that lesbians in Indonesia have to deal with, especially related to their rights, and recommendations that she can provide to strengthen the movement of Indonesian lesbian rights advocacy. So, Kak Gupta, over to you. Kak Gupta, are you there? Oh,
Iya, selamat malam teman-teman. Terima kasih Ayu, terima kasih juga pada penyelenggara kegiatan karena melibatkan saya pada kegiatan malam hari ini. Saya mohon maaf karena harus berbicara menggunakan bahasa Indonesia. Oke, sebenarnya soal bagaimana pandangan saya terhadap buku ini sudah banyak dipaparkan oleh dua pembicara sebelumnya. Cuman saya akan menggambarkan bagaimana saya dan teman-teman istilahnya mengadopsi beberapa strategi yang dilakukan oleh IPP atau Kamil dan teman-teman di tempat saya tinggal. Jadi saat ini saya bekerja di salah satu organisasi yang fokus pada isu lesbian, biseksual, queer, dan transgender laki-laki di Kota Makassar. Nah, jadi saya pertama kali sebenarnya kalau misalnya dilihat dalam buku ini, strategi yang kami lakukan dengan yang dituliskan oleh Kamil di dalam buku itu hampir sama. Jadi kami bertemu di yang pertama kali kami saling mengenal itu melalui internet. Waktu itu masih ada MRC, Friendster, dan Facebook. Terus dari satu teman ke satu teman yang lain kami bertemu dan bercerita bagaimana situasi kami sama soal penolakan terutama penolakan di keluarga. Nah, 2012 saya ketemu sama Kamil dulu. Saya baru waktu itu memang banyak sekali organisasi LGBTQ di Indonesia dan saya mengenal ada dua organisasi di Jakarta, salah satunya adalah IPP. Saya sharing sama Kamil dan akhirnya mendapatkan buku ini juga. Bagaimana strategi IPP melakukan pengorganisasian di wilayah urban. Nah, waktu itu di kota saya memang sudah ada organisasi juga yang sama. Cuman mereka masih berfokus pada teman-teman buruh. Jadi tidak ada di wilayah urban. Nah, sama dari buku yang kami baca ini akhirnya kami juga tanpa pendanaan itu melakukan kegiatan kami dulu menyebutnya door to door. Jadi dari kosan ke kosan untuk bertemu dengan teman-teman LBQ, dari tempat nongkrong ke tempat nongkrong, bahkan kami ke tempat olahraga. Kalau misalnya Kamil dalam bukunya menuliskan membentuk klub bulu tangkis, waktu kami di Makassar itu membentuk klub dancer. Jadi yang waktu itu dancer mau teman maskulin, feminin, waktu itu dancer, dan kemudian kami membuat bazar yang cukup besar dan teman-teman yang dancer itu yang tampil untuk menunjukkan dirinya. Nah, 2014 waktu itu bentuk kami itu masih kolektif. Jadi kami dari komunitas warnet terus membuat kayak kolektif memang yang tapi sifatnya itu masih yang dari awalnya have fun terus akhirnya membuat diskusi-diskusi kecil. Nah, tahun 2014 kami baru membentuk organisasi kami, mendeklarasikan diri kolektif kami tadi itu menjadi sebuah organisasi. 2014. Nah, 2014 itu kami masih banyak belajar dari organisasi-organisasi lain sampai akhirnya 2019 baru. Jadi cukup lama kami organisasi tempat saya bekerja ini cukup lama benar-benar menjalankan aktivitasnya itu tanpa dana. Nah, dari 2014-2019 kami baru pertama kali itu mengelola dana program dan dari situ kami memperkuat tata kelola. Saya ingin mengutip ada kalimat di bukunya Kamil soal yaitu zaman terus berubah dan strategi yang dipergunakan tentu menyesuaikan konteks zaman tersebut. Nah, kalau misalnya dalam buku Kongkow Lez itu sebenarnya yang tantangannya adalah memang kebanyakan itu dari masyarakat yang homofobia. Itu kelihatan. Dan itu memang kami rasakan di 2010 ke bawah. 2010 ke bawah itu banyak di mana waktu itu ormas itu kelompok ekstremis atas nama agama itu belum terlalu muncul di Indonesia. Saya ingat pertama kali di Kota Makassar pertama kali muncul kelompok ekstremis agama itu tahun 2010. Itu membubarkan satu kegiatan yang dilakukan oleh teman-teman transpuan di satu gedung. Kemudian 2013 juga ada pembubaran kegiatan yang dilakukan juga oleh kelompok ekstremis yang sama. Teman-teman yang hotspot, teman-teman yang misalnya waktu itu kan belum ada, maksudnya belum ada micet dan lain-lain. Jadi teman-teman yang punya hotspot misalnya mangkal di mana atau nongkrong di mana, itu kemudian didatangi juga untuk dibubarkan. Jadi memang waktu itu yang kelompok ini sangat menunjukkan dirinya bahwa dia tidak menyukai keberadaan kami, dan itu dilakukan terus-menerus untuk membuarkan apa yang kami lakukan. Nah, 2000 itu 2010 sampai 2015. 2016 pertengahan, saya ingat pertama kali ketika Menristek Nasir mengatakan bahwa tidak boleh ada kelompok LGBT di kampus. Itu di statement itu keluar karena ada kelompok super system di UI. Kemudian 2016 itu pejabat negara, akademisi, Pak Ikram pasti tahu soal ini. Akademisi, politisi dan pejabat negara ini berbondong-bondong mengeluarkan statement soal LGBT. Yang parahnya adalah media juga ikut andil dan memberikan, maksudnya berkontribusi menggiring opini masyarakat bahwa LGBT memang ini adalah sesuatu yang salah, bahkan dikategorikan sama dengan teroris, merusak tatanan negara, benar dianggap bahwa kelompok LGBT adalah bagian dari proxy war. Nah, itu 2016 sampai sekarang. Jadi memang kalau misalnya dilihat dari 2010 pengorganisasian itu, kalau kita lihat ya situasi sebelumnya itu memang ada perubahan situasi gitu ya. Jadi kayak misalnya yang dari awalnya hanya misalnya kelompok masyarakat, kemudian preman-preman itu yang homofobia yang melakukan kekerasan, itu udah masuk, kemudian masuk ormas agama, yang parahnya adalah media juga terlibat sampai pada negara. Nah ini menurutku adalah tantangan besar bagi keberadaan kelompok LGBTQI di Indonesia. Karena sebenarnya kalau yang dicontohkan dalam buku itu, bagaimana seksualitas orang yang ditetapkan sebagai perempuan itu udah dikekang. Jadi orang-orang yang terlahir memiliki vagina, dia udah diberikan atribut-atribut bahwa tidak boleh keluar rumah, harus menjaga nama baik keluarga, tidak tidak banyak batasan-batasan yang diberikan karena vagina yang dimilikinya. Kemudian itu diperkuat dengan situasi di 2016 waktu itu karena negara udah benar-benar melakukan intervensi pada kelompok ragam gender dan seksual ini. Kita lihat bahwa dulu mungkin kelompok ekstremis agama itu mereka membubarkan kegiatan yang kita lakukan, tapi sekarang negara itu udah masuk pada ranah privat. Saya harus bilang bahwa negara ini udah masuk di tempat gym, udah masuk bahkan menggerebek kos-kosan, udah datang ke kos-kosan untuk melakukan intervensi atau melakukan pelarangan pada orang yang dianggap bagian dari kelompok ragam gender dan seksual. Nah, maka diperlukan sama yang disampaikan oleh Kamel bahwa membutuhkan strategi berdasarkan konteks yang terjadi pada situasi yang berbeda tadi. Nah, organisasi kami udah melakukan upaya gitu ya, karena nggak mungkin juga dalam situasi yang saat ini Indonesia, maksudnya situasi Indonesia yang benar-benar menolak keberadaan kelompok LGBT, dan kita juga harus diam. Jadi perlu memang ada strategi yang saya harus menyampaikan juga tantangan lainnya adalah itu tadi saya kan bagi tantangan yang saya sampaikan tadi adalah tantangan eksternal, tapi ternyata ada juga tantangan internal pada organisasi LGBT itu sendiri. Saya ingat 2012 saya bertemu dengan banyak sekali organisasi LGBT di seluruh Indonesia, dan saat ini Ayu mungkin juga tahu bahwa sangat sedikit organisasi LGBT yang masih berkiprah gitu untuk tetap mempertahankan organisasinya. Itu bisa terjadi karena persoalan kepemimpinan, sehingga organisasi ini akhirnya memilih untuk bubar. Bisa terjadi karena konflik internal, atau mungkin karena tidak ada dukungan pendanaan yang mendukung organisasi ini untuk bertahan. Sementara kita tidak memiliki kapasitas bagaimana menjalankan satu aktivitas tanpa pendanaan. Nah, karena sejujurnya tantangan kami adalah kalau misalnya ngomong soal pendanaan itu juga menjadi tantangan. Kenapa? Saya ingat beberapa donor yang menurutku, ini pandangan saya ya, saya tidak menjeneralkan, tapi ini pandangan saya secara individu. Ada donor yang sangat baik karena mereka punya affirmative action atau punya kekhususan yang diberikan pada organisasi LGBT untuk benar-benar diberikan dana kegiatan. Karena sejujurnya saya pernah memprotes donor bahwa kalau kami organisasi LBQ harus bersaing dengan organisasi lingkungan, organisasi perempuan, atau organisasi lain, itu pasti kami kesulitan. Karena menurut aku proposal itu adalah kompetisi. Dilihat dari bagaimana tawaran yang diberikan, ide yang ditawarkan, kemudian bagaimana pengalaman mereka mengelola anggaran. Sementara secara sumber daya itu kemungkinan besar LBQ itu tertinggal. Kenapa? Karena lapisan kekerasan yang kami alami dengan kelompok non LGBT itu berbeda. Mungkin kami sama-sama dari organisasi perempuan, tapi itu berbeda. Kenapa? Karena dari kecil kami ekspresinya udah dipermasalahkan, di sekolah dibully, sehingga sangat banyak teman-teman LBQ yang sekolahnya tidak selesai. Makanya tadi kata Kamil bahwa ngomong soal akademisi, sangat sedikit kami yang kelompok LBQ yang bagian dari akademisi. Karena ketertinggalan tadi. Sehingga menurutku kalau misalnya kami harus bersaing dengan organisasi lain, organisasi LBQ pasti tidak dapat pendanaan. Dan itu saya rasa bahwa salah satu faktor sehingga organisasi LBQ tidak bertahan cukup lama. Dan ini menyambung soal soal apa yang harus saya sampaikan soal penelitian. Sebenarnya kalau ditanya siapa yang harusnya bertanggung jawab untuk melakukan penelitian, menurut saya semua sektor harus bertanggung jawab untuk melakukan itu. Karena kalau hanya dibebankan pada kelompok LBQ itu pasti kami kesulitan. Karena tadi soal pendidikan kami tuh enggak lebih banyak yang memang berhenti hanya pada SMA. Sedangkan pendidikan di Indonesia untuk strata SMA itu tidak pernah diberikan kapasitas bagaimana meneliti. Itu hanya ada di S1. Itu pun di S1 di akhir untuk menyusun skripsi. Di SMA tidak ada. Sementara kami itu adalah tamatan SMA. Jadi kalau ditanya sebenarnya apa yang perlu dilakukan oleh baik itu organisasi NGO untuk mendukung keberadaan kami, ya banyak hal. Soal bagaimana mendorong penerimaan masyarakat terhadap kelompok LGBT. Terus bagaimana seharusnya pendanaan itu lebih menyasar organisasi-organisasi LBQ. Terus bagaimana membantu kami memberikan pemahaman soal kami bagaimana meneliti untuk isu yang kami usung sebenarnya, karena yang seharusnya memang itu adalah kami yang melakukan itu dan penerima manfaatnya harus juga dari kami. Nah, kalau misalnya hal lain yang perlu saya sharing soal apa yang telah kami lakukan di organisasi tempat saya bekerja. Kalau misalnya Kamil dan teman-teman IPP membentuk klub bulu tangkis, itu juga masih sangat relevan untuk kami untuk dilakukan hingga saat ini. Jadi kami baru melakukan turnamen bulu tangkis 2 kali tahun kemarin, dan itu adalah yang sangat efektif dalam situasi bagaimana memperkenalkan organisasi itu di teman-teman muda. Jadi bulu tangkis itu menjadi pintu masuk bagi kami yang kami adopsi dari buku Kongkow Lez, bahwa ternyata berorganisasi itu tidak serumit yang orang bayangkan, bahwa harus diskusi ini, diskusi itu. Jadi pintu masuk yang kami lakukan adalah memberikan pemahaman pada jadi ekspektasinya harus berubah pada pendatang baru bahwa organisasi itu bukan sesuatu yang sangat formal, tapi bisa dilakukan dengan sangat menyenangkan. Melalui turnamen itu kami kemudian memperkenalkan apa organisasi kami, apa yang telah kami lakukan selama ini. Kemudian teman-teman yang tadi tergabung dalam turnamen itu kami undang dalam training yang kami lakukan terkait dengan SOGI-SC dan hak asasi manusia. Kemudian kami juga melihat situasi keamanan yang tergambar. Kalau misalnya mungkin dalam buku Kongkow Lez bahwa internet masa itu sangat benar-benar sangat membantu, itu sangat betul sampai saat ini, tapi perlu diingat bahwa internet saat ini sangat tidak aman. Jadi kalau dulu internet itu seperti hanya satu mata pisau, sekarang itu dia punya 5 mata pisau. Di mana bahwa kita membutuhkan itu, tapi di sisi lain keamanan kita juga terancam. Maka organisasi kami juga membuat panduan keamanan digital. Panduan keamanan digital yang kami digunakan dalam organisasi dan telah kami sharing pada 109 orang individu LBQ di Kota Makassar, Sulawesi Selatan. Kemudian kami juga membuat melihat sebenarnya organisasi kami itu tidak pernah dibubarkan karena memang sangat posesif pada situasi keamanan. Jadi salah satunya adalah karena melihat banyak organisasi yang kegiatannya dibubarkan, kami membuat yang namanya panduan keamanan kegiatan. Jadi panduan keamanan kegiatan itu berisi soal pra kegiatan, saat kegiatan, pasca kegiatan, dan apa yang perlu dilakukan dalam situasi darurat atau ketika mengalami serangan. Kemudian kami juga udah memiliki modul SOGI-SC dan HAM yang memang berisi beberapa materi, bukan hanya SOGI-SC dan HAM, tapi juga ada soal penerimaan diri dan juga pengorganisasian, yaitu bagaimana memperkenalkan organisasi kami pada teman-teman LGBTQI. Dan yang terpenting adalah kami telah melihat bahwa situasi ini tidak mungkin kami lakukan, situasi yang menolak soal keberadaan kami, terutama di Makassar. Benar-benar hampir semua pejabat negara itu mengeluarkan statement penolakannya, baik wali kota, gubernur, bahkan sudah ada surat edaran gubernur yang menyatakan bahwa pencegahan dan penanggulangan perilaku LGBT di kampus, madrasah, dan sekolah itu sudah dikeluarkan surat edarannya pasca ada kasus yang viral di Unhas waktu itu. Jadi kami menggandeng kami telah melatih 29 mitra organisasi non-LGBT dan kemudian kawan-kawan mitra ini yang membantu kami untuk menyasar masyarakat di Sulawesi Selatan, baik di wilayah perkotaan dan pedesaan, dan kami telah memberikan pemahaman terkait dengan isu yang kami usung pada lebih dari 1.000 masyarakat non-LGBT. Nah, tapi bahwa strategi ini saya benar-benar belajar dari apa yang dituliskan oleh Kamel, terutama pengorganisasian di teman-teman LBQ. Bahkan saya ingat bahwa logo kami Gamaca itu difasilitasi oleh Kamel waktu itu, dibantu oleh temannya. Kesempatan ini saya juga mengucapkan terima kasih pada Kamil dan teman-teman IPP yang banyak membantu kami, karena sebenarnya kalau misalnya kami nggak punya pengalaman untuk mengelola sesuatu atau mengorganisir kawan-kawan LBQ, kami mungkin nggak bertahan hingga saat ini di tengah-tengah situasi keamanan yang mengancam. Sekian, Ayu.
Oh, thank you so much, Kak Gupta. Makasih banyak, Kak. I thought you cannot hear me, so I was a bit panicked, but you really did your presentations timely. So thank you so much, Kak Gupta. So I also noted some highlights, how this book has been very influential for you and your organizations, because it becomes the inspirations how to organize LBQ community in urban area in fun way. Not it's, you say that, oh, apparently organizing and organizations is not only through a very serious not only can do in serious way, but it can also through a fun activities like badminton or also or as you say, dancing and stuff. And then you also highlight the importance of contextual strategy, because even in Indonesia, the situations in Jakarta perhaps very different in Makassar. So we need to really consider the contextual situations to formulate the right strategy, the effective strategy. Regarding the challenges, you really highlights the homophobia, of course, and how homophobia then link into the religious extremism. And it also results the persecutions multiple times, especially in Makassar, and then hate speech that happens after 2016 not only comes from the academicians, but also from the state actors and the media facilitated and framed LGBTQ movement as a terrorist, which is a very it's a very dangerous framing, and also put queer communities at a big risk. And then you also assert and highlights the layers of oppression that happen to people who assign female at birth, individuals who assign female at birth, and it's really restricted them in so many aspects in public, and then in educations as well, and of course for LGBTQ individuals, it makes how can I say, deprivations, for example, in educations and human resource and stuff. And regarding the internal challenges, you mentioned about leadership and internal conflict. I think it's very important for LGBTQ organizations to reflect on this, of course. And you also mentioned the important things regarding fundings. That is very limited because it involves competitions to get the fund. And also, as you mentioned before, because LGBTQ individuals are hindered from educations, most of them are high school graduates. They don't really have capacity to do the research. So it's also affect how then LGBTQ individuals can write and do research for themselves. And then regarding internet, I really agree with you. It was really safe, but now there's a different situations. Internet can be really unsafe for LGBTQ community because the oppressions also comes from the from that space. And I really appreciate that you and your organizations then make digital security guidelines and also safety guidelines for any other event. So thank you so much, Kak Gupta, for your presentations and the insightful informations about Indonesians, or specifically in LGBTQ community in Makassar. So we already have 4 speakers that present their thoughts about the books and the situations, the reflections. Now we are going to move on to the Q&A sessions. I already saw there are lots of questions in Q&A box. Most of them is in Indonesians, and Ira just asked me to try translate it, and I will do my best. So the first question,
sorry to interrupt. Maybe you could like combine some questions if they're like, like similar themes or topics, or because you not necessarily have to translate everything, because there are 12 questions Just try to combine and sum up the questions as much as you could. Thank you. Sorry,
Okay.
Ayu.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's see. The first questions, bagaimana agar kelompok rentan kelompok terlindungi terhadap pemerintah atau lembaga terkait dapat lebih efektif dalam. Okay, so the first questions to ask about how the vulnerable groups or marginalized groups can be more effective, can advocate the government and related organizations, so they can be more effective in protecting the rights of the groups, the marginalized groups. And then I heard IPP Institute atau Institut Pelangi Perempuan is a foundation promoting entertaining education activities and has released many publications. These participants interested to join their events and read their other publications. So is there any possible way to access it and how to find the info? I think this is for Kamel or Kamilia. And then regarding Kongkow activity, Ikram said that it's the rights of everyone to get the pleasures, to have a time to get the pleasures, the time to recreations, and then having a safe space and free from evictions. And the question is, regarding the persecutions and the evictions, is it because the homophobia that is internalized by the owner of the places or restaurants? And then because the lesbian groups considered as mengganggu or disturbing other guests, what can we do so there will not be the evictions for lesbian groups to go to those restaurants and public spheres? I think that's all 3 questions first. Maybe any of you might response? Speakers? So the first questions, I think it can be answered by any of the speakers because it talks about how to get the government and other organizations to get involved and effectively to protect the rights of marginalized groups. So maybe Yen-Jung or Christine or even Kamilia or Gupta want to respond to this?
Still thinking.
Still thinking. Or maybe in Germany, is there any experience of how to lobby the government to be more attentive to the marginalized groups?
I think, yeah, maybe I can answer a little bit from experience, but I think it might be similar in all kinds of places, and it refers to what Yen-Jung said earlier about finding allies. In many cases, it is to find an ally in a position of power and in the political field, and to build some kind of solidarity with that person and who shares maybe similar goals. And sometimes it can be like really mini steps, for some form of acknowledgement on a local level or like a petition or something. I mean, now it's a little bit different in Germany because it's the acceptance, or the political acceptance, I should say, is quite high for LBQT. But in other fields, for example, we work on decolonizing knowledge about the global South. Yeah. So it's not a very popular theme. So what we do, we go to local representatives and we talk with them about it and try to find ways where they could help, but also maybe they have a stake in it. If you have a strong community, then you can make pressure on the political representatives because they maybe want to get votes from a certain segment of society. Yeah.
So collaborative work with other movements to ask the rights of the vulnerable groups, it's also very important, right? And then,
Yes. Sorry.
Mhm. Do you want to add something, Christine?
Yeah, not really. I mean, the funding, maybe say something to the funding because it's also very important. If you can, I mean, I thought the question was now focusing on how to deal with political representatives or the government, but on a broader level, if you say, I mean, sometimes funding can come from people who, in positions with power who have like financial resources, philanthropy, and at the moment, I think with the threats for various groups in the US, but also I think it's gonna come in Europe as well, in Western Europe, and then maybe it's better to rely on philanthropy than on government funding.
I have to agree with you about that.
And like collective, like, I mean, the collective also, if you have like 1,000 people and everybody gives like a small amount, you have something to work with. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so finding another alternative for having fundings, for example, like philanthropy organizations, perhaps, and also being self-sustained, also very important. Like perhaps another communities can also try to make money for the movement. Oh well, it's very tricky. Questions related to fundings. Moreover, in our situations right now. Okay, thank you, Christine. And how about Yen-Jung? Maybe you have something to tell us about this?
Hi. So I think it's a very important question and very important issue. I think that so following the Taiwanese experiences, I think in Taiwanese case, I think it's very interesting because it's partially it relies on how things become historically. So, for example, just like it's a historical past dependency because of our political shift, because after abolish the martial law in a lot of different democratic movement, they urge for a lot of different human rights. So social movements, they work together. And also during that time, because I mentioned about the scholars coming back abroad, and they brought a lot of feminist perspectives. And there was a trend at that moment because Taiwan want to become a democratic country and to be treated differently from China. So I think that's a very important historical factors here. And at that moment, we do a lot of, especially the women social movement. We promote the gender mainstreaming. So that's the other huge move, especially regarding to the government, because it means that a lot of scholars, they have the influences, they can influence to a certain point in the gender mainstream committees of the government to influence to make an impact on the political agenda. So I think that's a very important historical, or you can say it's a political opportunities at that moment. And but I think that in other ways, it's very important. That's why I said we have to find allies in a lot of different areas. For example, you have to be strong in the community, in the grassroots movement, to mobilize people to do something to promote their rights, in not only in gender but also in broader human rights. And also, it's very important, just like what Christine just mentioned about, you have to have allies in the government. You will know, because you want to shift the point of view or the ways what government does. So you have to find your allies, and you have to show them that you have political strength. And how can you do that? It's that you have to show them your political stakes. So you have the strengths from the grassroots. So, for example, recently in Taiwan, we got a lot of movement. We will push someone, or we will promote someone to elect in the political sphere, as a candidate, or to be elected as a legislative member in the legislative yuan, to influence the process of lawmaking. And that's really important, because when you take roles in or participated in the political sphere, I believe it's one of the important way to do the social movement. So I think, of course, it's very complicated within the social movement groups and between social movement groups and the political sphere. But I think in Taiwan, we got a very strong ties within the social movement organizations and the candidate and or the legislative member. And I think that's the other way that we can do. But I think the most important thing is that you have to make friends, and you have to collaborate with your friends and allies, with other social movement, and be stronger to show the society, or to ask to negotiate in the political power. And I think that's quite important. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Yen-Jung. I noted that it is important to consider the historical social context to do the advocacy, and then allies, make friends, even make friends with the people who can influence the government, or people in the government, or people who want to involve in the to get into the government environment. And then the involved in politics is also very important because it will influence the lawmakings and strengthen the grassroots movement. I think that's what I can take from your sharings in the Taiwan context, and I guess it can be very relevant in Indonesia. And of course, from Christine, don't just rely on government fundings. That's very important too. So the next questions I will just ask Kamilia and Kak Gupta, and I will combine some of the questions because they are related to one and another regarding where to access the publications and the events and the informations about IPP, Institut Pelangi Perempuan, and then about the how to make the public sphere or public's environment becomes a safe space because for LBQ, for lesbians community, and also how to make the organizations not only established but also sustain. I think that 3 questions can be answered by Gupta and Kamilia, please.
Iya. Terkait dengan pertanyaan bagaimana saya lihat pertanyaan bagaimana membentuk kolektif dan strategi bertahan pada sebuah organisasi. Saya tidak tahu apakah ini efektif atau tidak dilakukan oleh organisasi lain, tapi ini yang kami lakukan. Saya sampaikan tadi bahwa salah satu persoalannya adalah kadang-kala adalah konflik internal. Jadi saya bertemu dengan teman-teman saya di organisasi tempat saya bekerja saat ini itu 2009 sampai 2025 saya masih bareng. Kami beruntungnya di organisasi kami itu konfliknya minim. Bukan berarti nggak ada konflik, tapi konflik itu bisa diselesaikan. Jadi kami sangat terbiasa dengan saya kasih contoh, misalnya adalah setiap orang punya job desk. Kami terbiasa dengan bagaimana mengapresiasi pekerjaan orang. Bahwa bahkan meskipun itu adalah pekerjaan teknis, di sesi evaluasi atau penutupan kami akan bilang terima kasih karena sudah melakukan ini, tanpa kamu kegiatan ini tidak akan berjalan baik. Tapi menurutku itu sangat efektif. Kemudian bagaimana kami memahami karakter satu sama lain. Jadi saya sangat memahami semua tim saya. Saya tahu sifatnya, apa hal yang dia tidak suka, hal-hal yang bisa menyakiti baginya. Bahkan saya secara individu tidak akan pernah menceritakan bagaimana bagaimana keluarga saya yang sangat harmonis di depan teman saya yang mungkin dia punya peristiwa yang buruk berkaitan sama keluarganya. Jadi hal-hal begitu yang perlu kita pahami. Kemudian bagaimana saya bilang tadi bahwa kami mengorganisir itu 2009, berdiri 2014, kemudian mendapatkan dana 2019. Jadi cukup lama. Jadi yang kami lakukan itu tidak semua memang memiliki pendanaan. Jadi kami meminjam kantor orang lain, menghubungi narasumber yang misalnya bahwa kegiatan ini pro bono, tidak berbayar. Kemudian juga kami berjejaring dengan mitra yang kami sampaikan bahwa ketika ada kegiatan itu memang tidak memiliki pendanaan. Kemudian kami juga melakukan fundraising seperti bazar atau menjual produk. Nah, itu yang bisa saya sharing. Tapi karena sebenarnya saya tahu, saya pernah mendengar cerita seorang teman bahwa justru sebelum mereka mendapatkan pendanaan itu organisasinya bagus. Setelah mendapatkan pendanaan justru bubar. Itu teman-teman, bahwa sangat perlu bagaimana proses pengelolaan pendanaan, termasuk soal transparansi itu memang harus dilakukan. Kenapa? Karena uang itu sangat sensitif, sifatnya sangat sensitif. Dan saya benar-benar belajar. Saya nggak bilang bahwa organisasi yang tempat saya bekerja sempurna, tapi saya benar-benar belajar bahwa bagaimana mengelola organisasi. Saya belajar dari organisasi yang mungkin saya refleksikan bahwa ini bisa memecah, hal ini bisa ini, dan itu enggak ingin saya terjadi di organisasi tempat saya bekerja. Jadi kalau misalnya dilihat dari 2009 ke 2019 itu cukup lama kami nggak mendapatkan pendanaan sama sekali. Kemudian 2019 sampai saat ini justru hal-hal yang kami rencanakan di masa yang lalu kami terapkan di situ karena telah didukung oleh pendanaan. Bahkan kami anggaran dasar, anggaran rumah kami itu justru jadi di 2019. Bahkan padahal udah lama kami berorganisasi. Dia selesai penyusunannya di 2019, dan pengalaman-pengalaman kami yang mengorganisir ke masyarakat, ke komunitas, itulah yang kami masukkan di dalam modul yang kami susun. Bagaimana memperkenalkan soal materi sugesti yang dengan cara yang lebih menyenangkan dan tidak terlalu teoritik. Kemudian saya ingin merespon satu pertanyaan lagi soal sebentar ya Ayu. Ini, apa yang kamu rasakan dan bagaimana rasanya jadi LGBT, terutama di lingkungan yang dimana lingkungan tersebut kontra terhadap dedikasi yang kamu jalani berdasarkan presentasi yang kamu sampaikan. Sepertinya bahagia ya, kenapa? Dan apa yang mendedikasi dirimu menjadi LGBT? Sebelum merespon itu, saya ingin menanyakan sih teman-teman heteroseksual, gimana perasaannya jadi heteroseksual, menyenangkankah? Karena sebenarnya heteroseksual dan homoseksual itu adalah sesuatu yang sama, prosesnya sama. Jatuh cinta adalah sesuatu yang dirasakan oleh setiap manusia. Sama dengan teman-teman, jatuh cinta itu tidak pernah direncanakan, tidak pernah diminta, dan tidak pernah dipaksakan. Pertanyaan saya adalah, ini juga pertanyaan refleksi untuk teman-teman yang mungkin menanyakan ini. Ketika itu tidak direncanakan, tidak pernah diminta, dan lahir dari lubuk hati yang terdalam, apakah kemudian itu salah? Itu dulu yang pertama. Kita kunci bahwa jatuh cinta, kalau kamu bilang itu nggak salah, berarti jatuh cinta nggak pernah salah. Tapi kita tidak boleh punya standar ganda bahwa, kalau heteroseksual jatuh cinta nggak apa-apa. Tapi kalau dia jatuh cinta pada perempuan itu nggak boleh. Percayalah bahwa saya secara individu berkali-kali menjalani hubungan untuk mengoreksi perasaan saya. Saya harus menjalani sama laki-laki dan saya hampir menjadi korban perkosaan hanya karena untuk mengoreksi perasaanku. Saya berusaha, dalam tanda kutip, saya harus sembuh dari apa yang saya rasakan, dan itu nggak berhasil. Dan saya akhirnya menyadari bahwa kalau jatuh cinta tidak pernah salah, terus kenapa saya harus disalahkan? Karena proses jatuh cinta teman-teman heteroseksual sama dengan apa yang saya rasakan, bagaimana saya jatuh cinta. Jatuh cinta apa? Soal ini kan bagaimana kita memiliki ketertarikan, memiliki emosi, marah kalau nggak dibalas chatnya, sedih kalau ditinggal. Itu sama yang kami rasa. Terus teman-teman bilang bahwa ada kasus pembunuhan di mana itu dilakukan oleh teman-teman gay atau teman-teman lesbian. Apakah itu tidak terjadi pada heteroseksual? Itu merujuk pada perilakunya, bukan pada bagaimana dia jatuh cinta. Dan menurutku perilaku-perilaku itu bisa dilakukan oleh siapapun, termasuk oleh heteroseksual. Kemudian, jadi jangan disamakan soal antara perilaku sama perasaan yang dia rasakan. Kalau Anda menanyakan apakah yang saya rasakan ini adalah dari lubuk hati saya yang terdalam, iya, dari lubuk hati yang saya terdalam. Bahkan sangat tidak menyenangkan berada dalam kelompok yang mayoritas. Sangat tidak menyenangkan sebenarnya. Jadi kalau saya menjalani ini benar-benar saya tidak sedang berpura-pura. Saya menjalani ini dengan kesadaran penuh, sangat sadar, dan saya bukan dalam situasi sedang tertekan, tidak normal dan lain-lain. Jadi apa yang Anda rasakan sebagai heteroseksual itu juga yang saya rasakan sebagai seorang lesbian. Kalau teman-teman tanya bagaimana perasaannya menjadi lesbian, ketika saya jatuh cinta saya bahagia, ketika saya putus cinta saya sedih. Apakah perasaan kita sama? Dan ini sebenarnya salah satu tadi Kamel menyinggung soal bagaimana sistem patriarki menjadi salah satu akar penindasan pada kelompok LGBTQ. Dan itu memang benar bahwa sistem patriarki ini melahirkan beberapa konsep gender superior, di mana bahwa maskulin itu jauh lebih tinggi posisinya, kemudian gender binar yang mengatakan bahwa hanya ada dua gender, laki-laki dan perempuan, kemudian ada yang namanya heteronormativitas, di mana heteronormativitas ini mengharuskan orang harus memiliki hubungan dengan yaitu laki-laki dan perempuan. Tapi diingat bahwa tidak semua orang itu harus sama. Tidak termasuk perasaan bahwa kita tercipta secara berbeda-beda, bahwa kalau teman-teman bilang bahwa vagina bentuknya sama itu salah. Penis bentuknya sama itu salah. Bahwa bahkan dalam tubuh manusia itu udah banyak banget ragam yang bentuknya berbeda-beda. Ada penis yang bentuknya lurus, bengkok 7 kali, bengkok 8 kali. Ada bentuk payudara yang modelnya pepaya, mangga, kecil-kecil bentuk ketumbar dan lain-lain. Itu bahkan dalam penciptaan Tuhan, dalam tubuh itu udah sangat beragam. Apalagi soal perasaan. Dan soal saya sebenarnya sangat saya menganggap bahwa saya nggak menganggap bahwa pertanyaan ini atas ketidaktahuan, tapi percayalah menjadi berbeda itu sangat tidak menyenangkan. Saya ingin mengutip satu quote untuk teman-teman. Ternyata ada kata Irsyad Manji, ada perdamaian yang negatif. Perdamaian yang negatif itu adalah ketika kita melihat kekerasan terjadi di depan kita melihat bahwa ada ketidakadilan yang terjadi dan kita mendiamkan itu. Tidak ada kemenangan tanpa perjuangan, dan itu yang sedang saya lakukan. Saya mungkin tidak mendapatkan soal itu, tapi saya berharap bahwa teman-teman saya dapat menikmati apa yang saya perjuangkan saat ini. Kejahatan banyak terjadi bukan karena banyak orang jahat, tapi kejahatan terjadi karena banyak orang yang merasa baik kemudian mendiamkan kejahatan itu. Semoga teman-teman yang ada dalam ruangan ini bukan bagian dari orang yang mendiamkan peristiwa ketidakadilan yang terjadi di depannya. Terima kasih, Ayu.
Thank you so much, Kak Gupta. Thank you so much. I think there are a lot of lessons learned that you try to deliver to us from your sharings and your presentations, of course, and it's very, very valuable. Thank you. And then everyone, speakers, I want to apologize that it seems that we still have a lot of questions and we need more time. So is it okay to have 5 minutes more from our plan? So we are going to close the events in 22:05. I hope it's okay.
Maybe 10 more minutes, because Kamel needs
10 more
to,
minutes.
right? Yeah, you need to add something,
Okay.
right? Because, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, then. So I will just continue to the other questions. I think I want to ask Kamel about this. So there are some questions related to how to improve the protections also in public space, and maybe another protections related to LGBTQ rights, and then regarding the community, how to start a community and make it sustain, and how to get the informations about Institut Pelangi Perempuan. I think, yeah. I hope you can answer those questions, please.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So I guess I would like to trace back what was happened in 2010, Pilga Asia Conference, International LGBT Asia Association Conference, which was attacked by fundamentalist group. And after that incident, well, fortunately, we are safe. And after that, we got support from international network of LGBT, human rights defender, women's rights defender, how to protect yourself in online and offline space. So we got training. And I think Gupta already mentioned about the guidelines. She's doing a great job by publication about physical and holistic security. How to sustain your activism if you not sustain yourself. So first, sustain yourself first, and then you can sustain your activism. So I think this publication is very good. If Gupta maybe can share that publication to this event, it will inform you how to do safe physical activities and how to do safe digital activities. It is very important now. Like I mentioned before, internet is very helpful for the advancement of LGBTIQ rights movement in Indonesia. And at the same time, Gupta also mentioned right now we face threats, attacks, and also verbal violence as well. So please be careful also in online space for your privacy, for your profile, pictures. It can be used against you now. It is important also the importance of your data, how you use your data, and then how it can be used for other platforms or other institutions to attack you or to against you. It's very dangerous right now. So online, it can be safe, it can be unsafe. It needs skill and capability to do it in online space and in physical place too. IDP was once had self-defense strategy. We had boxing training for young LGBTQ women, and also we train human rights defender and women's rights defender in Indonesia. Basic self-defense 101 boxing for survivor of violence and women rights defender, LGBT rights defender. So yes, it is skill, but it is also important that to notice that the more we're visible, the more threat, challenge, attack we can get. So it's your choice. Nobody can force you to keep active, to keep your sustaining activism, to keep visible in your activism. You know how you want to do it. You know yourself. Nobody else can tell you. It's also my experience. I was burned out in 2011. I was after attack of fundamentalist group in 2010 because I was responsible for the security of the participants in that conference. So I had to face several attacks, verbal and verbal violence from the fundamentalists. And it was scary moment also because I need to feel the safety of I need to secure the of the participants to move to other place for replacement. And Gupta also mentioned about the internal conflict within the LGBT movement. We cannot avoid to say that conflict is happening everywhere. Internal, we have the challenge from external factors, but internal factors is also challenging. Because what I think, and I already had counseling with this, we cannot deny LGBTIQ people is people who live under pressure, under oppression. So it gives stress and pressure to them and sometimes it gives physical pressure for them. So the reflection can be different, can be so anger, easily emotional, or conflict, and etc. So when we meet together, make sure before you heal people, you heal yourself first, and then you can heal others. Before you sustain your activism, sustain yourself first, so you can sustain your activism. That's what I think. So Gupta, please share your publication. I think it's very valuable and important for the recent publication. And it's also because of in 2012, there is a blockade of LGBT sites in Indonesia. So we also got training how to reroute your internet access. So even though it's blocked, you can still access LGBT sites in Indonesia. But it is also need to be shared to other LGBTQ people or movement. So yeah, that's the challenge, but it's also a development in LGBT because they are now aware of holistic care. While in the past, in my past experience, I didn't have any knowledge about it. I just do it. And I just keep doing my activism without notice about my self-care, my security and everything. But right now, I think the generation of Gupta is got more information about it. And I think it's very good progress about it. So Gupta, maybe you can mention, share a little bit about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kamilia. So Gupta, do you want to share something about the publications and the guidelines for the digital securities and perhaps using internets for sustaining the organizations and stuff? Do you want to add something about it?
Ya, saya akan bagikan ke Kamel karena sebenarnya kalau panduan keamanan kegiatan itu udah selesai. Itu tinggal didesain, tapi yang panduan keamanan digital itu kami baru saja di-review sama SafeNet. SafeNet itu salah satu organisasi yang teman-teman mungkin tahu ya, yang ada di Indonesia yang memang mereka berfokus pada hak-hak digital. Nah, itu kemarin mereka menawarkan untuk dibuatkan, tapi kami bilang udah jadi, bolehkah itu direview karena mereka mungkin yang lebih update soal aplikasi yang aman dan yang lain, dan itu udah diberikan. Dan setelah itu selesai didesain, saya akan mengirimkan itu ke Kamil dan mungkin Kamil bisa membagikan itu ke teman-teman yang lain. Ayu, aku izin sedikit ya.
Ya.
Ada satu pertanyaan di bawah, sebenarnya apa yang kami harapkan soal apa yang sedang diperjuangkan. Kami nggak minta untuk semua orang menjadi LGBT sih. Nggak ada juga setahu organisasi LGBT yang bilang, gimana kalau kamu LGBT? Nggak ada. Atau misalnya tiba-tiba memperjuangkan hak-hak perkawinan, nggak ada. Yang kami perjuangkan itu adalah bagaimana kami dilihat sebagai warga negara yang sama dengan teman-teman yang lain. Jadi kalau misalnya teman-teman bisa bekerja dengan aman, kami juga pengen itu. Karena bukan berarti bahwa kelompok LGBT itu teman-teman bayar pajak terus kami nggak bayar pajak. Bukan berarti bahwa teman-teman adalah kelompok heteroseksual yang mendapatkan keistimewaannya, terus kami enggak. Jadi yang diperjuangkan itu adalah benar-benar yang berkaitan sama hak sipol ekosop yang sama dengan orang lain. Hanya itu, hanya sebatas itu. Kalau teman-teman bilang bahwa ada kelompok LGBT yang melakukan kekerasan seksual, ya udah penjarakan aja. Enggak ada masalah, enggak ada orang yang kebal hukum, penjarakan aja. Yang dipastikan adalah ketika dia terbukti melakukan tindak pidana kekerasan seksual yang dipastikan hak-haknya dia sebagai tersangka itu yang nggak hilang. Jadi jangan disiksa, jangan disuruh buka celana, jangan disuruh karena hanya tunjukkan dulu kau laki-laki atau perempuan. Itu yang banyak terjadi persoalannya di wilayah penanganan kasus. Yang ditanya itu bukan kasusnya, kenapa kau pakai baju begini, kenapa kau begini, kenapa kau begini. Itu yang kami harapkan. Soal kasusnya silakan ditangani, benar-benar disalahkan ditangani, dipenjarakan juga nggak apa-apa. Tapi diperlakukan benar-benar sebagai tersangka yang sama dengan orang lain gitu ya, bukan diberatkan putusannya atau diberikan perlakuan yang tidak manusiawi karena identitas gendernya atau orientasi seksualnya yang berbeda dengan orang lain. Itu yang kami harap. Jadi benar-benar berkaitan sama ekosop dan sipol yang sama dengan kawan-kawan ini. Jangan berikan pada kami soal beban pembuktian, harus membuktikan sesuatu yang lebih untuk mendapatkan privilege yang sama. Itu yang menyakitkan bagi kami. Sekian.
Thank you so much, Kak Gupta, for the additional remarks. And I think you highlight a very important one, that actually the LGBTQ communities is just hope for having the equal rights and the basic rights fulfilled, not only by the government, but also by the society. So I am very sorry, everyone, because of the time limit. I think we need to end our event, and I would like to share my gratitude to all of you, the participants. I've learned a lot from your questions, and also from for the speakers. I learned a lot from all of you about how to create safe space, how to the importance of collaborative working, make friends, and then also try to have alternative fundings, not only rely on to the government. And also we learn a lot about how to make the organization sustain, the community sustain by appreciations, transparency, and also about the we talked also about the fundings and stuff. So I think that's all for me. I'm so sorry for all the lackings perhaps, and I'm very happy to be here with you all. So now Mbak Ira, over to you.
Thank you, Ayu. Thank you so much, Ayu, for moderating or facilitating our discussions today. And thanks for the insightful and fruitful discussion. I think we learned a lot. And on behalf of the organizer, Let's Talk and Institut Pelangi Perempuan would like to appreciate very much for all of the speakers, Christine, Gupta, Yen-Jung, Kamel or Kamilia, and also the interpreters, Denny Yatim, Valentina Utari, and Farid Mutakin. So we are all volunteers in Let's Talk. I think we talk a lot about how to collaborate, right? How to make alliance and allies. If you not identify yourself as LGBTIQ communities, we can be an ally. What Let's Talk have done so far, almost 5 years. We got nothing in terms of the funding. We don't get any funding and donors at all, but we can, in almost 5 years, we can do so much, so many discussion forums, so many programs in Let's Talks. And you can see, and you can still watch the YouTube, because we recorded all of the discussions on YouTube channel of Let's Talk. It's already 300 something videos, and we invited like so many speakers. I really can't count, because so many speakers, like internationally and both nationally. Thank you so much for all of the audiences or participants for your cooperations, and thank you for creating safe space for us today on the Zoom, because it's really tricky, it's really risky. I was worried before, right? Because we are talking something sensitive issue, right, and controversial still in Indonesia. If we compare to Taiwan or Thailand or United States, even United States now, it's forbidden. It's only to have two genders in Trump's administration. It's really stressful and depression for us, especially me and Farid, who live in the United States under the Trump's administration. So thank you, everybody. I can't really thank you enough. I remember like everybody, every speaker, moderator, and some of the audiences also put in the chat about silence. I saw Christian also put in the chat about silence. So I think this is a statement, a powerful, it's amazing, powerful, popular, and famous statement from Audre Lorde. If you know or aware about Audre Lorde, she is a Black lesbian feminist, socialist feminist. She's a mother, right? She's a poet, distinguished poet, and then Audre Lorde said that silence cannot protect us. So let's translate or implement, right? Translate the silence into language and actions. So that's what we're doing right now, right? We try to collaborate. We are networking, like Gupta said, like let's collaborate. Let's make and build and maintain network. So this is what Let's Talk have done for the past almost 5 years to every like organizations or institutions like all over the world, also not only nationally. It's like I met Kamel. I know Kamel long time ago in 2000-ish, so long time ago, and reconnect. It's very honor for me to have Kamel here, and then the new book of Kamel. We support Kamel so much, and also we know Ayu from other friend from Mbak Agustin, right? And we know Yen-Jung, I know Yen-Jung, Farid know Yen-Jung from National Women's Studies Association. We have conference 2 years ago. So we are at the same panel about marginalized communities like LGBT, and me at that time, I presented about domestic workers in Indonesia. So it's such an honor we can collaborate in this safe space, right? Like let's keep fighting, keep persisting, keep resisting. I think that's like one point that I can take from all of the speaker. So I just want to let you know that I have announcement about like the future programs for the Let's Talk. First in March 1st at 9 until 10:11 Western Indonesian time, or WIB. This is in Indonesia. It's not in English. So we have a program, Let's Talk program called Feminist Book on Facebook, or FB on FB, session 8. So we're gonna talk about new book coming. The title of the book is Gender and Politics. This is new, a new book in 2025, just published, written by Anna Sabhana Azmi and Ambarwati. So we're gonna talk about that book, right? And that's on Saturday, March 1st. And the second event, the second discussion is in conjunction with International Women's Day, which is Saturday, March 8th at 9 a.m. until 11:30 Western Indonesian time. This is also in Indonesia. The theme of our discussion for the International Women's Day is feminism in the amid of oligarchy. So there are a lineup of wonderful and distinguished speakers. There are Mbak Yunianti Huzaifa, Mbak Ruth India Rahayu, Mbak Desti Murdijana, dan Teh Vina Adriani. And the moderator is our distinguished Pak Ikram. Pak Ikram is here. Hi, Pak Ikram. Pak Ikram, so Let's Talk will be collaborating with Department of Sociology Unila, University of Lampung, yes, State Lampung University. This is where Kamel also graduated, yeah. Kamel, Pak Ikram, thank you so much for collaborating. So the moderator for this discussion is Pak Ikram. So we also have the podcast with Let's Talk, episode 22. For the discussion public forum with Pak Ikram as moderator, that's a public forum series 82. So after this series, right? And the podcast with Let's Talk, episode 22, it's in March 15. So that's on Saturday, 19:30 Western Indonesian time. So we are live broadcast and live streaming from Ohio, Columbus. And our guest is the Ph.D. candidate from Melbourne. So this is live. So I'm gonna, the host will be meeting with the guest. The guest is Prasakti Ramadana Fahadi atau Dana. So the topic of the podcast is media activism and ecofeminism. So because Farid and I will be presenting at the conference in Columbus Association for Asian Studies. So we're gonna meet the guest and we'll be live streaming. And the last one, Let's Talk in collaboration with Kalyana Mitra and Mitra Wacana will be preparing for the 3rd annual Kartini Conference on Indonesian feminisms with S, plural, will be held in September from 15 to 21 by 2025. And we call for abstracts for all participants who want to submit your abstract. We name our networking or a collaboration as a consortium for plural and inclusive Indonesian feminisms. So the theme or the topic of this third annual Kartini Conference on Indonesian Feminism is the future, between the internal and external crisis, the future of feminism and feminist activism. But you could submit any topics or any, not only, like related to the theme, to the big theme of the conference, but also you could submit any topics, like, for instance, Lansia will be organized by Mbak Utari and Mas Denny. LGBTIQ, I will be organizing about lesbian, gay, and queer, or ecofeminism, anything. Everyday life is about feminism, right? So because we believe that everyday life is the issue of feminism. So we really start from the beginning, we advocate and really raise the idea of feminism is for everybody and everyday life is feminism. So intersectionality, that's for our feminism that we really hold. So please, we are open, call for abstract for everybody, for everyone, and it's free in Indonesian, not in English. In Indonesian, we try to inclusive as much as possible for all of the people, so we can, bring everybody, on the table of the conference itself. So this is feminism conference, and it's free, open for public, but you have to register, even though it's free, and we do not receive any funding at all. But we provide interpreter, like if there is a special panelization in English, we are providing interpreters, simultaneous interpreters, and we also provide the sign language interpreters or interpretation for the special events like parallel session, for the special plenary sessions, roundtable discussion, book discussion, for the cultural and networking night opening, and for the closing of the conference. We also have side events such as meet feminist authors, how to seek fundings. We're talking about funding, right? And then we are inviting some of the friends later to share about how to find fundings and to secure your findings. And also there are some side events such as how to make, like tutorial, how to make videos for campaign. We are going to invite some publishers, right? I mean, especially for those who publish feminist issues or feminist topics. So that's a lot of programs for the conference, and it's free. It's free, and then this is the power, the power of voluntarism or pro bono. This is the power of collaboration and alliances. So sometimes we don't have money, and then we don't need money, and sometimes it works, right? We don't have money, but it works. Our collaboration works well. So please follow Let's Talk social media on Twitter. We have Instagram, Facebook page, and also YouTube. You can subscribe YouTube channel Let's Talk. So again, from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of the organizers, Institut Pelangi Perempuan and Let's Talk, so we really appreciate you very much for this fruitful and insightful discussion, and we apologize if we cannot really respond to all of your questions. Again, thank you. Have a good night in Indonesia, and we see you again at other programs at Let's Talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Yen-Jung.
Thank you,
interpreters. Thank you, moderator.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Yen-Jung.
thank you very much, Let's Talk.
Oh, thank you, everybody.
Thank
I can't
you.
say
Thank
enough.
you, Christine.
Thank you. It's my honor.
Ayu, thank you. It's so great.
Thank you.
So we're
Yeah.
waiting for your abstracts, yeah, everyone. Mas Denny, Mbak Utari, thank you. You did a great job. Everybody did a good job. Thank you so much. Kamel,
Everybody, yes. The translation was amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
waiting for your new book.
Thank you.
Thank
Yen-Jung,
you.
keep in touch, okay? I
Yes,
really
keep in
appreciate it.
touch. Yeah, thank you for all the amazing event.
Ya, Pak Ikram, mereka masih ada. Thank you for Pak Ikram and the students, ya.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the students are really great. Thank you for you all. I'll see you again later in International Women's Day, okay? Pak Ikram will be the moderator. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. I close the Zoom. Ayu, thank you ya.
Sama-sama,
Christy,
thank you.
Tari, Mbak Denny, thank you. Gupta, thank you ya. Dadah. I close the Zoom.
Dadah.
Bye, dadah. Bye-bye.
Selamat tidur, selamat makan siang.
Yeah. Thank you,
Selamat
Kamel.
yes.
Good work, okay? Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.